welcome to another episode of the Grow Your Occupancy podcast. I'm Julie Podewitz, CEO and founder, and today I welcome Jeff Gronemeyer to the show. Welcome, Jeff.
Hi, Julie.
Jeff is, I'm going to let him tell you about his background because he's got a lot of knowledge, and I'm excited just to kind of pick his brain today and have him share with you all even a few nuggets in there, Jeff. So currently, Jeff is the Vice President of New Development for Conversion Logic. So Jeff, again, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You know, something you mentioned to me recently, Jeff, is this idea of, because I know in your current position, you have an opportunity to certainly, of course, meet a lot of people, work with a lot of different companies across the country as it relates to many things, mostly that digital and lead gen and automation. That you mentioned this idea of an ecosystem. And can you talk to us a little bit about what you mean and why that's important in senior living?
Yeah, Julie, I've been going to the conferences. It's conference season, as we all know. And for me, having come from a background in the sales and operations piece in senior living, I started to hear things, started to see things as I moved into the vendor and product side. And that was lots of best-in-class ideas, lots of best-in-class solutions, lots of different really cool things that have gone on. And it's been an explosion lately. But then I also heard on the backside the frustration of, well, what's working and is this doing what I thought it would do? And how do I attribute? And so I started kind of asking that question, what's really important? And if I heard attribution once, I heard it a million times. And I put the two and two together and sort of realized that, hey, maybe we've created our own problem, right? We've got a lot of really great solutions, but integration, the ability to make that stack really work and talk is a real difficult job. Somebody upgrades something and the link breaks and you just kind of lose it. And so that was kind of where the genesis of the idea really came. And then the fruition was something you and I have talked about before. What are we really trying to solve? I know from my experience in senior living, especially, it felt like sometimes Groundhog Day. We're always trying to solve the same thing, even though we've maybe brought the question up a little bit differently. We're still trying to solve, how do we get full? How do we stay full? How do we change the perception of senior living into something that's not just a choice after, a negative life event, but really something to look forward to and reach out to for all the positive benefits. And that's where the idea came from. And I've just been starting to put that together and decide what that really looks like. And think maybe, that ecosystem, that holistic approach may be our solution to solving some of the things that we're constantly trying to fix.
Yeah, you say, what problem are we trying to solve? And I think, like, to your point, the problem, we know what the problem is. I think the better way that I should maybe phrase it is what components or what pieces or factors, because like you said, what we're wanting to do or what we need to do is maximize revenue, filling the building, or maximize, rent revenues. So in a perfect world, okay, what does, in your opinion, a company's ecosystem look like? If you could start from scratch, from a sales and marketing perspective.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's first sitting down and thinking about, what's our responsibility to the customer, to the prospect that we're going to have. And I think we've gotten so tightly focused on the end. What are we doing as they come out of the funnel when they first meet our buildings? And I think we've got that well thought out, millions of different things that we do, the creative follow-ups and the wows and all those things are great for the in-person. But as you move back up the funnel and you get above it, I think that's where we get a little bit too much piecemeal. And I think it starts with understanding, let's talk and be available to a prospect 2-3 years before they're ready to come to us. I know, when I make big life decisions, I typically don't make them, at the spur of the moment, unless there's been, something negative happen. It's always difficult to take somebody who's coming to us from a negative emotional perspective, which you are if it's death of a spouse and things like that. So if we look at our marketing dollars, we look at our effort as communities, and we start thinking, how do I touch the person 3 years away from me? How do I make that message work? And then when I bring them towards me and I create brand stickiness, how am I going to be sure that I'm available to them, that I'm not overly protective? I'm not a big fan anymore, really, of the gating. I think we're asking people to trust us, right? We hear all the time, trust, trust, trust. It doesn't sound very trustworthy if I won't tell you things without giving you, without you giving me the email, without you giving me all the contact information. So put some things out there that people really do need to make a good decision, and don't have it gated. So you're building this system now where you're really understanding, first and foremost, who's my customer, where are they at, when are they at, when's the first time I want to contact them, and then determining what kinds of tools, what kinds of strategies you need to bring them in. So now, for instance, with staffing the way it is, live chat, everybody's got a bot, but how often can you just talk to a live person? Not as easy. We always want to drive them to the building because we want the salesperson to have that conversation, but everybody's not ready for that. They just want a couple of quick questions. So building in, and I think thinking a little bit more about who the prospect is, where they're at, and extending our funnel up. If I was going to do a visual, I'd have my little short funnel like we have now. And I think the future funnel has us working a lot more above it, being a lot more open in the middle of it. And ideally having those tools that we use be connected, be things that are, best in class, integrated already, so that whatever we're doing, we're not having to manage multiple people, because that gets back to, again, the staffing thing. It's hard to manage 15, 16 vendors in the marketing and sales piece. So the more you can get people working in that ecosystem idea, whether it's them having true partnerships or whether it's them developing it all, I think that's really the direction that's going to provide the most success for us in the future.
No, it makes great sense. It makes great sense. Grow your occupancy, the funnel. My life's mission is to open it up, wider, help others do that, even 5 basis points. That's once a lead comes to us. And to your point, there's many, multiple steps above that funnel. And so kind of when you're talking, I'm thinking the ecosystem of how they get to us, at what point are they coming to us, and what is that experience, or how do we holistically look at serving the customers at every stage of the funnel. And we've said it lots of times, I've said it, and it's true, we can drive loads and loads of leads into the funnel, but if we're not working with sales, right, the sales processes and the all of the components that go into it, well, don't matter. But we can be the greatest salespeople in the world, but we do need people coming to us. So,
right.
And then of course the customer service, or the service aspects throughout the entire ecosystem, that would include, asking our customers and surveys, and looking at, pre-move-in, post-move-in, all of that, to that circle of that kind of wheelhouse, right, or wheel of success.
Yeah.
Keeping it.
Yeah.
We're talking about the different opportunities or offerings in senior living in many businesses, and there's great. And it's growing. And I love to learn and be, exposed to who's doing what. And, there's multiple CRMs and digital providers and marketing and sales and websites and everything. I think it can be overwhelming. It is overwhelming.
Yes.
And it's also, I'll use Vitality as an example, right? So, when as a CSO of Vitality, we started with 8 buildings when we merged and came together, right? And grew quite quickly to now 30, acquire, disposition, move, grow. And what you need then may not be what we need now. It may be, but it may look different. And at 8, you're maybe adding this for right now. And then at 15, we add this for now. And now we end up sort of, with that cottage that we've added multiple, rooms to, or bathrooms that maybe ultimately serve the purpose, but is it the most effective and efficient layout or
Right.
floor plan, if you will? So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, those are all, great points. And I think you kind of touched on that piece too, when you talk about opening and widening, at the top. And I think that means opening our minds a little bit too. I know, I know when I worked, on the operator side, whether it was nationally and even when I did the work in China internationally, it's sometimes a lot of effort to get people to think outside of those prospects that can move in this month. What do we've got? Because we're so, the occupancy is so important. And, in senior living, it's even more important because of the shortness of the stay. We've seen over my career in 15 years that stay just gets shorter and shorter. And so we get hyper focused, I think, on it. And the result has been, to your point, great innovation and tools. I mean, the things that are on a website today, the tools that are available to us today compared to when I started in 2006, it's, all we had is a newspaper ad and a flyer, and we printed the flyer ourselves. I mean, we just didn't have the level of expertise that we have now. But what's really never grown is we've never thought outside of the creativity, those same things. The same thing that I was trying to do with that newspaper ad, I'm still trying to do with all these great tools. So there again, I think we just need to continue to expand the mindset. People like you out there pushing people to think about things in a bigger way or a different way, spinning the concept, asking some, questions around, hey, how many times have we had this meeting, right? How many times have you sat down as a company and tried to figure out what this is that's happening? And you're still back doing it 2, 3, 4, 10 times. What really needs to happen? What really needs to change? And that can be training, better training, different training, different tactics. It could also be bringing, different kinds of digital strategies, different kinds of tech tools into play. But more really just understanding that we no longer just work at the bottom, that bottom of the funnel. It's just this whole big ecosystem of that prospect and where they are and who they are, and what kinds of things that we can creatively come to solve it. I mean, I'll share, here's a tidbit for all the listeners, right? I have an 82-year-old mom. She lives with me. I'm happy with that. But she's not as happy as she could be because I'm busy. I travel. I do a lot of different things. She's not hanging out with other people her age. If a senior living company had a little $400 club membership that she could pay and she could go over and do some of the things that she wanted to do and give her that 1.5, maybe 2 years tops to start to feel comfortable, to make friends, to do and engage, to be engaged without it being a sales process, she'd probably already be living in a senior living community. But I cannot find one of those in Indianapolis. So, there's an example of just looking at a person differently, and creating some things, whether it's marketing or whether it's digital strategies or it's the way we go about interacting with people, to kind of create the real doors and the real opportunities. Because my father-in-law, to finish that story, 81, he gets a very nice postcard, the big postcard, glossy, from one of the buildings that's near where he lives. And he asks me about it all the time because I'm in senior living. He says, "Hey, Jeff, what do you know about this place?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's a nice place. And, is that the one?" And he's like, "I can't ever remember the name of it, but they send me the card." And I think to myself about that all the time. I'm like, you're spending an awful lot of money sending him a card. He knows you're a senior living place, but he can't remember. You can't break through the remember the name part. That's a conversation I think we should be having in our conference rooms. How do we fix that? As a solution provider, how can I help you fix that? Is what we need to have in our ecosystem of tools and the way we go about seeing our prospects and delivering things that really help them understand who we are and why we're valuable.
From where I sit and just being able to work with great people and so many different people and clients and companies and individuals, it's the more narrow or like specific you can get in breaking it up to identify, for example, that one piece and put actionable step maybe to that. Same with the sales process. You need to grow, improve your closing ratio. There's about 6 things that you to dissect it, right? And it doesn't sound fun, really, dissection, or analyzing it, but to be able to either do one of 2 things: start from scratch, and build. Take your home, buy a piece of land, and build the home again, which is absolutely an option. Or to really look at, again, what problem, maybe we know the problem, maybe not, or what part of it are we trying to solve, or at least improve. In order to do that, I think to tie back into that funnel, Jeff, another thing that I've seen, and tell me if you have too, is data. And in our workaday world, and the world when we all work, and we got this data over here, this data over here, this data over here. Maybe we don't get it. Maybe the vendor is providing it, or maybe not, and we don't know, or we don't. We can't take time to analyze, 5 platforms of data. Or if we can, we need, how is that done and how routinely and regularly? So using, first of all, as an actionable takeaway, I'd say just globally know or understand what data is available, right, based on what companies you work with, or if it's internal, and then what do you want to know? What do you need to know? How are the dollars spent? All of those. That, I believe, tell me what you think, can really help us pinpoint more accurately, so we're not reacting knee-jerk reaction. It's emotional and we need more leads, or are these none of our leads? How many times have we heard, well, the digital leads, none of them are any good?
Right.
I'm sure you've never heard that. Or outreach, nobody is referring to anybody anymore.
Right.
So
all businesses stopped.
Yeah. I mean, I'm laughing at, look, I'm laughing with myself, because we've all
Right.
done that too. So I think what you're saying is an incredible merit. If there's one thing that someone listening could do this month, or think about to potentially then take action to do, what would you tell them to do, or what comes to mind?
Yeah. I think I'd really just what kind of you said, I think I'd really take a look at how well you can track and attribute your customer journey today. Look at your current tools, pull your reporting, and kind of do that forensic fishbone, like, we do in the healthcare. How difficult was it to get that information? How much time and effort went into it? And how much do you really understand about the true journey? And when I say journey, I mean initial interest through, checking in, through early engagement, and ultimately becoming a sales qualified lead. How easy can you see? And does your system allow you to do it? Does it allow you to actually see that journey of a person? Do you have the digital tools? Do you have the capture tools? Do you have the reporting tools that you really need to do that? Because they are out there. But if you're not intentional when you put things in place to ask those questions, will this work in that system? we end up having a lot of things that live outside of it. In the first couple of minutes, it's not a big deal. Well, this one thing does, it's not a big deal. But I would be willing to bet that if they do that exercise, they're going to find that instead of having everything lined inside the gutters, so to speak, or the curbs, they're going to have a lot of little systems that live outside of that narrow silo or pipe of information, where they can get it quick and where it's integrated and easily understandable. So that would be my first thing. Just take a half day, and hopefully it's all it takes, and pull your reporting and ask yourself whether it really truly gives you insightful information on that customer journey, how well you can track that person from start to finish, because only then can you really bring in creative strategy and determine whether tools are really working, or determine where your customers are really engaging with your brand or with a community, and what you may want to change. So that's, I think, a really, really useful and helpful exercise, and hopefully a very eye-opening one, because again, we get used to doing work, right? I know I do. I get used to doing something. I become comfortable with doing it, even though it's not the ideal way I should be doing it. It's just become what I do. And this is that's an exercise to help break you out of that, and ask yourself, should I really be doing all this, or is there an easier, better way? Because there is easier, better ways for sure. That's why we develop our reporting to be all in that one spot, so you don't have to go side to side. So I know it exists. If it exists from us, it exists from others probably as well.
Great advice as always. I love talking with you, picking your brain. You're a great guy too. And that's,
well, I always love talking to you and seeing you around as well. It makes my day. This is going to be the best Monday I've had so far this month, which is off to a good start. So I think this might be my high point for Mondays, but thank you for that.
And you know what? This month, 4th of July was on a Monday. So this is better than the 4th of July.
It's better than the 4th of July, even though that was a day off of fun and barbecuing. This was, like I said, I love brainstorming and coming up with I'm a push the envelope out a little bit kind of person. So these things really get me going. I'll live off of this energy for the rest of the week for sure.
Jeff, I think the nicest thing anyone has ever said to me is that I was more fun than the 4th of July, which you didn't technically say, but
it's true. I'll own it. You are more fun than the 4th of July. There, it's on camera.
Oh, Jeff, thanks so much.
You're
Jeff
welcome.
Gronemeyer, Vice President of New Business Development at Conversion Logics. You can learn more about Grow Your Occupancy on our website at growyouroccupancy.com. Usually always a free webinar to sign up for, and got some great guests in the August webinar coming up. And also check out the Bridge the Gap podcast. We've got a great lineup of Wednesday contributors through the rest of the year, and hope to see all of you soon. Jeff, I know I'm going to be seeing you, right, in Nashville?
That's right, Nashville. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So thanks again, and have a great rest of your week.
You too. Thanks, Julie.